Hello, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel in another Paint With Me. I hope you're all ready to start painting with me, or basing, or modeling, whichever you've chosen to do. Today, as promised, I will be doing this Corvus Cabal Shrike Talon. I probably chose the hardest one of the bunch, but that was what was requested by one of our patrons, so that is what I'm doing. And I will be doing the other request probably right after this one, and maybe after I paint up all the rest of his allies so that we can have a nice painted army on the battlefield. Now, so I want him. There's going to be lots of blacks and blues and variances, and there's going to be some wood and some metal and some bone. Do I have skeleton horde? Well, I'll get skeleton horde. Alright, let's go down a bit and choose Gore Grunt of Fur and contrast medium. And I think, because that one's darker, I'm just going to go couple drops of contrast medium. Just stick my brush into the Gore Grunt of Fur and put that in. I don't know, I think that's still too brown, but let's try it. Just have the barest bit of it on my brush. Well, the hue is more accurate to what I was hoping for. But it looks like, to get the proper coloring for what I want, I'll do this mix, because the hue is definitely what I was hoping for. I am going to have to do a layer on top of this skin, I think. It's not quite what I want, but close. So I'm doing this all over the skin, and I'm doing it rather heavily because I do want, I mean not crazy heavily, but heavily, because I do want those crevices and indentations to be that orangey, brownish, reddish color. And now I'm just taking away some of the extra. It's just a little bit too excessive and also not on the skin. Taking away the stuff that spilled out onto other parts that aren't the skin. I certainly wouldn't do this for a darker contrast medium, but this contrast medium is so transparent. That should be fine. Alright, so it doesn't look like much yet. Doesn't look like much yet. But that was just a base coat for the skin. I think I will be having to put a layer on top of it after it's dried. We'll see. Might work out great. Now, with that done, I am going to get those wings ready. I think... Actually, no, I'm going to put the skeleton horde now on all of the pieces that need skeleton horde. Yes, all the skeletons, bird skeletons, and his bird beak. That's what I'm going to do next. Skeleton horde is another contrast paint. If you hear that, that is my army painter mixing balls that I put in most every bottle of paint. What size brush do I want? This one. This is a Vallejo P54, number 30. And it's just a brush that looks like that. Not the tiniest of brushes, but gives me some control. And because the skeleton horde is only going on little things. I'm curious, since I like birds so much, why do they have bird heads all over them? I guess they're a bird of prey, and these birds were their prey. That's my guess, because they're all little tiny things. Maybe. Or maybe they thought it was sacrilege for that bird skeleton that they found to be just hanging out on the ground when they could be swinging from them in glory in battle. Who knows? Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bird heads and his own bird head done with skeleton horde. Won't look like much yet, but here it is. See? That there. Those ones there. His own. Now, next, the wood on his stilts. Yes, I may be avoiding the bird feathers and wings, but they're the hardest part, I'm a-thinking. So I want to contemplate it a bit. I'm currently using the contrast paint Wildwood for the wood on his stilts, and I'm just using the same brush, same little brush that I used before. Wood, clothing, and skin are my favorite things to use contrast paints on. The wings, I don't think I will be using contrast paints on it. Not for these black ones. I don't think it'll work out quite right. So I guess I am done with that. Right. Here he is with his stilts done. Paint is still wet, so you might not be getting the full view of what that contrast paint looks like, but there it is. Now he's got leather strapping his feet to the stilts, so but I feel that all of the leather straps, they'll have dyed black, because that's their thing. So I guess I'll do all of that with Black Templar. Yes, I think it is time to do all the leather with Black Templar. And for that, I'm taking out my Kolinsky Masterclass Army Painter brush, code BR7017. I do have finer brushes than this, but this seems to suit me very well for even the smallest miniature pieces. Unless I want to do pupils or anything like that, or little tiny studs. This one suits me just fine. Now, have to be very careful because I do not want to get this leather on the wood nor on his feet. And when you're being so precise with a contrast paint, do be careful because these are more fluid than your average paint, than your average Citadel paint, and you don't want it to accidentally leak into areas you never intended it to leak. It looks like he's got his clothing closed. I'm not certain, but it kind of looks like he's got his pants filled with feathers. And he's using the same leather straps to keep them shut. Kind of reminds me of a scarecrow. Which is kind of funny. Here's the black leather sections done. Just on his feet strappings, and on his leg strappings, and his leather gloves. Next, we're gonna do his clothing, and I think a Leviathan blue will work for that. Maybe we'll darken it up. Maybe we'll darken it up with some Black Templar, but I think it's dark enough. And I'm just using this small basing brush by Citadel. Yes, I like the color of that. So just on his trousers and on his cloak is going Leviathan blue. Just using this basing brush for most every part of the hood, and I did it for all the pants, though it looks like as I get up closer to the feathers and skin, I'm gonna have to change over to a smaller brush. Also doing the cloth part of his wings, the same color. I think that's as much as I can get done with this size brush. Now I'll just move over to my fine detail brush from Citadel, the outer print one. Wow. I imagine the artificer brush that they have now is the replacement for it, I believe. Maybe the medium artificer brush. I am going to have to get another camera set up for painting the model, I guess. Not certain though. I put my face so close to the model that it feels like my nose would be in the picture all the time. You'd see the model in detail and then you'd see my nose sticking itself in there. Right. Here he is in blue. Still wet. But imagine a few close-up shots from him in a little bit. I'll show him. Okay. Now his beautiful black wings. How am I going to make that? So the raven's wing goes from black to dark blue to green blue to grayish green when the light hits it, and all with a sheen. Mimicking that, it's gonna be fun. Very fun. I decided I'd go on to the Steele for all the different pieces, and I'm actually using Metal Color by Vallejo Steele. And then I will probably, I'll be dry brushing it over with duraluminum. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be Steele followed by duraluminum and maybe some edge highlighting, but I think just the dry brushing / edge highlighting will be good with just a duraluminum. And because that's so small, I'll just be using my fine detail brush for all of that, for all of the Steele. Here he is with the Steele on him. Metal pieces, hopefully looking a little bit more defined. It looks like my super mic wasn't on for a little bit, so I'm going to reiterate everything that you may have missed. I put the Steele on, I put the duraluminum on in a dry brush form, and I put a bit of chrome on it just to highlight the very tops of the metal pieces. And then I started doing I started using my Game Air Vallejo because I have more control with this liquidy one. I don't want it to be too thick because I don't want to lose the details on the feathers because there's so many details. So then I started putting all of the black basically in the recesses. I really want to get a good contrast going in the feathers. So that is what this looks like, and my mic is currently on, so now I can show you. Right, so the metal is done, and I've added black to basically all the shadowy parts of the wings except for these the backside of the wings. But here I've added black, and there I added just black, just using a very detailed brush. Put a little bit of black around his hood area where the hood would give a shadow. Yeah. Because I really want a good contrast. And yes, I could have used wash for the black, but I want more control than that. I really want to manually emphasize the highlights on these feathers. Now, after black, a raven's feathers in the light turn blue. And then from blue, they go a grayish green, turquoise, white mix. First we'll go with the blue, and I am choosing to go with a mix of the Fang, a base Citadel paint, and this contrast paint, Ultramarine Blue. I want the Fang opacity, but I want the consistency of Ultramarine Blue contrast paint. So I'm just mixing the two. Have I used this mix before? No. But I have mixed a lot of paints in my day, and I feel confident that that is the right decision. Let's see if my confidence is warranted, shall we? Basically, everywhere that I didn't put the black, I'm putting this mix of the Fang and, where'd you go? The Ultramarine's Blue contrast. Now I'm putting it on relatively heavily. Relatively. You can still see, because of the added contrast paint, you can see the Wraithbone color coming through, but only mildly, which is what I wanted. Just using my masterclass brush for this, because I do want maximum control. I haven't touched the backside of their wings yet. I am going to do that completely separately. Now, just towards the top, I've taken my contrast medium while the top wings are still wet, and mildly using this contrast medium to take the paint off. So that's that phase. Looking very blue at the moment. But that's not going to stay that way. Right, so next I'm going to do that same thing. No, I'll just finish these wings first, yes, before I move on to the other ones. Alright, so the next color in this spectrum, Celestra Grey. Take out a bit of Celestra Grey. Mix it 1 and 1 with my ultramarine base and Fang mix. Take it mostly off my brush, and here's the really tricky part. Swipe it. "90 degrees. Only on the higher feathers and the very of some of the bottom feathers. Very tips of some of the bottom feathers and the white feathers. Then over on the other side, grab some more, only to wipe it off. And 90 degrees from the base of the model. Base, 9 degrees. All right. Now that most everything is off my brush, absolutely, I'm going to wipe down. Only the top 4 feathers. Don't know if you can see that, but here it is. There we go. And for now, I'm going to leave that there and do something very similar with all of the rest of the feathers. Okay, so I went over it. I went over all the back feathers with the blue mix. And then I just went over, that was done, I just went over it, over that again, here and there, with the Game Air Vallejo, just to give it a little bit more depth. So this is what it, and I still haven't done the back of the feathers, I'll do that now. So this is what it looks like yet. So there's the feathers with some blue added to it, and on its legs, then in the back, except for the white of his wings. Now I'll just do the black and blue on his wings. And then we'll start dry brushing again. Right, but I will show you how exactly I'm going to do the back of the wings, since that's rather important too. So, again, the lower wings and the wings that are further away from me, underneath the others, I am doing completely black with this air, and this air one is not completely opaque, so there's still a bit of the other color coming through, but barely. It's mostly opaque, but it keeps the detail of the feathers, which is why I am using it in this case. And then I'm doing I did the bottom half of the feathers in the front, but this time I'm doing the top half of the feathers. Maybe not even half, but yeah. The top half. The top half of each feather. Just because the way of the feathers are currently designed, it's the shadow of the higher feather would fall on the lower feather. So I'm just accentuating that. So the last 3 lines of feathers are not getting any black at the moment, except for the longer ones. Just putting a bit of black right around where the shorter feather meets the longer feather. I'm also doing black around his fingers, where his fingers hit the feathers. It looks rather messy right now, but it'll all blend together. It's fine. Look at that mess. Oh no, I ruined the feathers. Oh no, what am I doing? That's fine. Now, on to the ultramarine and fang. mix. Okay, I'm just putting the blue everywhere that I didn't put the black. I probably should have done the metal on his hands after I did these, but I think it's actually easier just if you make a mistake and get some on the metal. It's easier to touch up that little mistake rather than vice versa. Okay, so here he is. There are his wings. Very blue. But very blue in the light, but you know, from a distance it'll look quite black, I'm hoping. Give it a moment and then start dry brushing. Is there anything else I can do while I'm waiting for that to finish? Oh, I forgot the tops of his... I forgot to add the blue on the top. On his crest. Yeah. His crest feathers. So I guess while that's drying, I will paint the leather band he has across his chest. Yeah, I guess I'll just go black. Black Templar. Okay, time for dry brushing. Now, Celestial Gray with a dab of, what's that called again? Dark Angel's Green, and a dab of my mix. 4 parts Celestial Gray, 1 part Dark Angel's Green, and 1 part my Ultramarine Fang mix. And take out my small dry brush. Take up the mix. Remove the mix. And swipe it at a 45-degree angle from the base this time. You do want more on the top feathers, but you're also going to go all the way down the tips of the shorter feathers, except for the ones on the little 3 underneath on the bottom. So the top 2 long feathers and the tips of the short ones. That's it for this first wave. Basically, following the motion of the feathers upwards is what you're doing. And then down gently, just on the top ones, and then with your finger holding the feathers in place, because you don't want to accidentally dry brush them off your model. Follow the direction of the feathers. Move your brush in the direction of the feathers. Direction of the feathers. Alright, so that's how that looks. Not certain how well it's picked out by the camera. Hope you can see it. Now, with all that done, he's basically done. The only question is, do I do another level of dry brushing? I don't think so. I think at this point I'm content with him and I want to look at him for a while. I'm gonna redo the metal on his fingers with duraluminum. Do you want to see me base him? Oh, why not? Let's watch me base him and get it on his feathers and completely ruin the thing. Yeah. I'm using a texture spreader, medium size. I'm grabbing an enormous amount of this, piling it on there very carefully. Okay. That should be enough. Switch it around to the littler part and squish, squish, squish it all over the place until you're satisfied with the amount that you have squished. Squish, 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 squish. It's alright if you get it on his lower foot, because he is walking through the dirt. Guess I could also put some on his raised foot to make it a little bit dusty on the bottom, where he would have just had it down in the dust. If I want it to be really impressive, I'll do a little footprint on the ground. Let's create a footprint. Only you and I will know that I ever tried to do a footprint. There. Okay. There he is. He might look a bit more blue than he actually is in reality, but here he is. Thank you to patron Adam for making this request for this paint with me. I hope you enjoyed the new mic. And if you liked the video, give us a like. And if you'd like to paint more with me, subscribe to our channel for more paint with me's and Warcry material and wargaming material in general. Thanks, bye!